Roger, roger.
A galaxy still at war. Following the first season of Clonecast, the Scruffy Nerf Herders are hit with losses of their own. 3 hosts down to 2. Will the numbers continue to dwindle? Can the Scruffy Nerf Herder podcast survive another season? Or will this show come crashing down in flames? Answers to these questions and more on this week's episode of Clonecast.
Bro,
I gotta
give you a
throw.
little pat on the back.
I gotta throw Roger in.
That made me smile so big. I love that.
Yeah.
I will say, getting back into oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times I've called it Clonecast this week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is Clonecast.
This
Welcome
is
to
Clonecast.
Clonecast.
Welcome back.
Season 2. Yeah.
A year and a half later, and we're resurrected.
Yeah, hey, it's good to be back, man. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have a new appreciation for Clone Wars after seeing Ahsoka.
Okay.
So, like, I was already excited to continue it, but now that I'm actually continuing it, like, I was just so excited. I was so hyped, and man, it's like, I said this during the Ahsoka cast that we did, Tano cast, that I feel like I would have appreciated it more had I finished Clone Wars. And even just like the first couple episodes of this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And now, I just hear it just gets better.
I gotta say, I mean, this is something we've talked about a lot, is that like Clone Wars does, I almost said Clonecast, Clone Wars, Clonecast as well will get better over time. But no, Clone Wars. There we go.
See? I kept doing it all
the
week.
The Clone Wars animated series gets better as the show progresses, and I might say something a little controversial right now, but these first 3 episodes better than the entire first season of Clone Wars.
Ooh, see, and here's the problem, because it's been pretty much a year and a half. I was like, where are we? I didn't watch like what happened the first season of Clone Wars like I probably should have, because it started and I was excited, but I was like, is there something important? So we'll get into it here, but I'll point out like kind of a reason why I was like excited, but then I was like, ooh. So episode 1 opens up, they're battling on Felucia.
And we get everybody.
Let me say, so obviously we've talked about like Battlefront, the game. That was like one of my favorite planets to play on in that game. And I just think it's a very interesting planet. And I wish we could see more of it, like in the live action. Because I'm wondering, and this might be controversial, do you think like James Cameron stole stuff for Avatar from Felucia?
Oh, like there's just a bunch of blue people running around on Felucia, riding.
I'm just saying, like
banshees, and
the animals almost look similar, like the plant life, the floral and the fauna.
You know what's funny
similar, man,
is like I didn't even think about Battlefront. I just remember Felucia as the planet that one female Jedi just gets murked in.
The Twi'lek just
and
then like goes behind a leaf and you just see the and you're like, oh
yeah,
oh my gosh,
yeah,
poor Yoda, cover your eyes, Yoda.
This episode starts off like nuts, like action
right off the bat. Yeah.
Right in the middle of the battle, you see Plo Koon, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka is like leading her own charge, and I don't know, like I literally was like, I kind of like, this is my second run through on Clone Wars, so I'm like, okay, I remember the first season, I remember what happened. First season really didn't end on a cliffhanger to the point of this show.
Okay,
so we're like, in fact, I think the first season ended like on a happy note, right? Like we're like happy for a war perspective, but like we're straight into the Battle of Felucia. It's like, hey, just so you remember, we are in the middle of a war, and the characters are progressing, right? Like Anakin's being Anakin. Obi-Wan definitely seemed a little less judgmental and a little less, I don't know. Like that was our biggest complaint of the first season, was like, he was like, oh, Anakin. And it didn't didn't really pick that up too much this up. I guess
I didn't seem annoyed
yeah.
with Obi-Wan. So yeah, I guess you're right.
My favorite part, right, is so they're in this battle and they decide that they have to retreat. And Anakin and Obi-Wan are on the ship and they're like, "Where's Ahsoka?" And Ahsoka is like refusing to leave the battlefield.
She's
And
being a bit snippy.
yes, 100% snippy. But she also throws out the line of something like, "Master Skywalker taught me never to retreat when tinnies are on the run." And
Yeah.
Anakin's like, "Where's Ahsoka?" And he's like, "She's following your teachings." And I was like, "Oh, I love it. I love it." And then Anakin's line after that was like, "Well, is she winning?" Like,
Hey, it's okay if she's winning. I get it.
yeah.
It's so interesting for me, especially after watching Ahsoka, with the whole relationship between Ahsoka and Anakin, because when I think of Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, I still feel like Anakin's such like a young Jedi. You know what I mean? Like I don't see him being ready to take on a Padawan. So it is interesting that you have him in this role, because even in Revenge of the Sith, like I wouldn't say that he would have had a Padawan. So I mean, it is interesting that feeling like he's still learning as he's going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and just like the depth that gets built over time between like Anakin and Ahsoka, like I think that's what made this Ahsoka series so powerful, was just like seeing Anakin and Ahsoka build this like master mentor relationship. It's just it's fun. Like it's cool.
So what would you say it would be fun to see, like Ewan McGregor and Rosario Dawson, like Obi-Wan and Ahsoka together again in live action?
I was thinking about that multiple times during this episode, that I was like, oh, this would be a cool story arc to do like live action, but I don't know. Like I feel like we've got very, very lucky with what we got with Ahsoka. Um
Mm-hmm.
we had this conversation on Scruffy Nerf, no, on the Cast, and one of the interesting comments we got back from it was, "Let the Clone Wars be the Clone Wars. Go tell another story." And I was like, "Oh, that's very interesting."
I
Like,
agreed with
yeah,
that. I read that. I think it was one of the top comments on one of our
yeah,
videos, and I fully agreed. I was like, you know
yeah,
what? I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I can go back and watch it and get that, storyline and everything that I'm looking for. Like, because I think we were talking about like getting a live action version of Clone Wars and stuff, and they're like, no, just let it be.
yeah,
Like, don't try to remake, just do a different story. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Like, let it be canon, like they said it was going to be.
yeah,
One thing that I thought was really cool too was seeing Ahsoka's growth compared to the first season,
uh-huh.
because even though she was kind of being defiant and snippy in the beginning of the episode, as soon as like they were talking in front of the Jedi Council and she essentially got like grounded, which I felt like was the equivalent, she was super quick to humble herself,
Yeah,
and she was apologizing to Anakin, like, hey, I shouldn't have done that, like, and she was realizing that quickly, and I was like, dang, that's some good growth already we're seeing out of this character. So here's where things took a turn for me.
okay,
Cad Bane,
yeah.
was he in the first season?
I believe so.
Was it? Because I couldn't remember, and I got so stoked when I saw him. I was like, yo, Cad Bane. And I just, like, for me, it's like, I know him from the Book of Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
And just being like, this character is such a badass. And like, people were like, oh yeah, he's from Clone Wars. Like, he's so cool. And I'm like, okay. And like, I feel like I got to see a bit of that in Book of Boba Fett, but I was so excited to see him in this. And then immediately I was like, did we see him last season? Like,
Yeah, I just had to
remember.
Google it right now. He was in the final episode of last season.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was the one that was doing the hostage crisis at the end of the season, and he like kidnapped Anakin.
Oh, that's
and
right.
Padme, and yeah.
And then we see him speaking with the bounty hunter from Attack of the Clones, the Changeling.
Yeah, the Changeling.
I got so excited about that.
Yeah, and he's got the little droid with him too, that he was just like being so rude to. And my wife was like, "What are you?" She's like, "This is a kids show," and I was like, "Yeah."
So yes, I will say that there are multiple times, even through these couple episodes, where I was like, dang, this is like a kid's show. Like, 'cause some of it just seemed dark, and I was like, man, and was it Kato? Is that the droid's name?
Yeah.
I thought he was such a great little droid. Like, we've talked about this recently about Star Wars droids have such personality. And like he just had all his personality. Like he was so concerned, like, oh my gosh, I don't remember that my memory banks
Yeah.
were wiped. What? It's like, of
Yeah.
course you wouldn't remember, but it was just funny.
Yeah, and so essentially, we get the reveal, right, that Cad Bane's been hired by Darth Sidious, who wants him to steal a Jedi holocron, which I think is the first time we see a holocron in the Star Wars universe, at least to my knowledge.
I think it was it you? Was it our buddy Jason that has a holocron?
I don't.
So it must be Jason. So I think I like had posted on Facebook or something that I was doing like Galaxy's Edge or something like that, and I think he had texted me and he was like, "Yo, I got a holocron," and I was like, "That's cool." Like, what's that? And he sent me like a video of it like twisted. And so when I saw it in this episode, I was like, "Hey, that's the thing
Yeah.
Jason was talking about."
Yeah, the ones at Galaxy
Holocron.
Edge, I guess, like when you put your kyber crystal or like a different kyber crystal inside of it, it has different voices.
Different voices, yeah.
Yeah, so if you put like Rey's yellow one in there, you hear
Mhm.
Rey, and you can hear Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, and
I kind of want one now. I didn't care before, but now I kind of want one.
And then they have the Sith Pathfinders at Galaxy's Edge, I think, too, which
What
are like
those?
diamonds or like these black.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Similar concepts to a holocron, but essentially the holocrons are like these devices where like they store all this information of like all this holocron in particular is like the one that stores the information of all the future Jedis and the younglings out in the universe, which I was just like, one, how did they get that? Like, how do you keep track of that? Right? Like, you didn't even know Anakin existed until like you stumbled upon this planet. It's just weird. I was like, that's very convenient.
And like it makes you wonder too, like, is Rey in there or is she in one of the?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
I was talking about like picking this thing apart. I was trying to like, because I love this show so much, I was like trying to look at it and being like, okay, but like, you know, Cad Bane and his robot break into the Jedi Temple, and then Yoda like immediately senses their intrusion. I was just like, yeah, you sense that, but you don't sense the fact that Palpatine's a Sith Lord and that, you know, Anakin's gonna slaughter 1 million children.
So let's say that then. Let's say Yoda does recognize that. Then it almost makes it more impactful when like Order 66 does happen, because you could tell Yoda's like, oh god, how did I not see this coming? How did I not sense this? I can sense when intruders are inside the Jedi Temple. How could I not see this coming?
That is true.
You want to know what's funny in that like spy scene between Cad Bane and Kato when they were going inside the Jedi Temple? Was there was a scene where there was these fans that they had to try to get by, and I think Kato tripped a security thing, and then they started getting sucked up, and it was this moment of like dread that I felt. I was like, oh god, Cad Bane and Kato, oh my god. And they were like, stop the Vincent, stop it. And they're like freaking out as they're like about to get thrown up into these fans. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, oh my god. And I'm like, oh wait, these are the bad guys. Like, why?
Yeah.
Shouldn't I be like that for the good guys? But I thought it was funny that they did that kind of moment for the bad guys.
Yeah. It's interesting how they invest you in these characters, because like this 3-episode story arc like does such a good job of like investing me into Cad Bane, where I was just like, I know I'm supposed to hate him, but he's just such a cool character.
Oh, dude.
And his voice is just fantastic.
Yeah. And you know who I really like too is this librarian, Madame Jocasta?
Jocasta knew.
Dude. Like, I'm pretty sure she was in Attack of the Clones, right?
I remember she was like,
talking to Obi-Wan.
Yeah, she's in that one. So she's in that scene. And then, you know, the cool thing is like one of the things I thoroughly love about this show, and like it goes back to kind of what we were talking about when we first started Clonecast, was in the sense that like the visuals and the ideas created in the prequels were so cool, but they were never expanded upon. And I feel like this show literally expands upon that. Like, what is the Jedi Archives? What are they? And this episode builds upon that. And it's just like seeing that character and giving them, and then seeing my boy Kit Fisto again, who might be one of the coolest Jedis ever. And like, he's just casually strolling through the Jedi temple. Like, dude, this is sick. I love
super casual.
Yeah.
The librarian was like, Master Fisto. And he just goes,
yeah.
Smiles at him.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I mean, we get the changeling. I don't even know her name. What's her name?
I didn't write it down. I just wrote changeling.
Yeah, she
She
impersonated a
deserves
Jedi.
representation. Yes, she knocked
Well,
out
I
Jedi.
think she's an interesting character.
It's a unique power though, right? Like
bounty hunter that can change the way they look. That's crazy.
So she killed a Jedi and took him, right?
I don't think she did. I think Cad Bane did, because when she was like, "How am I supposed to get into the temple?" Cad Bane was like pointing to the seat where there was a dead Jedi, and she's like, "But he's a Jedi." Oh no, he says, "But he's a Jedi," and Cad Bane's like, "Well, he was." I was like, "Dang,
gotcha.
he's a badass."
Yeah,
I'm like, "That's crazy, man." Cad Bane can take on Jedis. Like,
Cad Bane's intense, man. But you look at it and you're like, if they would have just hired Cad Bane originally, Padme would probably be dead by now. Because the Emperor hired Jango. Jango couldn't get the job done.
That's true. That's because you relied on these little centipede things.
What a weird show. Yeah. So then, the shapeshifter gets caught, right? No, the shapeshifter then changes into Jocasta Nu and
because
is a librarian.
Yeah, she kind of caught wind. Jocasta never got killed, right?
No, she got knocked out.
Just like knocked out. Okay.
Changeling gonna knock you out.
So yeah, so I mean, Ahsoka obviously, ran into the changeling when they were impersonating the Jedi, and she's like, "Hey, can I be some help? Like, I'm super bored." And the changeling was like, "I'm good. Like, leave me alone." And she's like, "Come on, like, let me help out. I'd love to help. I'm super bored. I got nothing to do." And the changeling's like, "Child, you nuisance! Leave me in peace.
Be gone."
So Ahsoka was like, "Oh, geez." So, obviously Yoda had mentioned to her, "Hey, be on the lookout. Intruders are here. Check up on Jocasta." And so she hears the changeling impersonating Jocasta, and that was a funny moment too, with Cad Bane's talking to the changeling, and the voice changed, and he's like, "What's going on?" He's like, why is your voice different?"
Yeah. The other part that I thought was kind of crazy was that, like, this episode really shows like how, not like dumb, but like the Jedi aren't really the greatest of all of them, because like there's a lot of times that they're like, "Where's the infiltrators?" And they're like, "They must be in this tower." And it's like, you think you'd be able to sense that they're
just wrong every time.
I mean, it's just interesting because you grow up thinking like Jedi are these all powerful these beings, but like, no, they're just dumb. I said it.
Yeah.
Jedi are
they're dumb.
Dumb.
Oh man, what a freaking hot take, dude. Jedi are dumb. No, I do feel like the Sith are a little bit more sly, but I feel like they kind of have to be. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So, especially in like a world where the Jedi greatly outnumber the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
And although Cad Bane's not, a Sith, he's a bounty hunter, and they got to be sly and stuff too. So, we got this moment where Ahsoka catches Madame Jocasta or the changeling, and they start this lightsaber fight, and that's where I lost my mind. I was like, this librarian's a Jedi? I was like, yo, what? And not only that, this changeling's power, you just get a lightsaber now because you changed into the person?
Yeah, I was kind of taken away by that because I was like, where did you learn how to use that? Like,
well, obviously, and Ahsoka made the comment like, hey, you may look like her, but you don't have Madame Jocasta's skills, because Ahsoka defeated her and she wasn't as good with a lightsaber as the librarian probably is. But I'm like, that's crazy. You imagine if librarians were armed, like in today's day and age, like that librarian is armed, like she's a Jedi master, and then like she's just retired and is like, hey, I'm just gonna protect these archives. Just give me my lightsaber, I'm good.
She's just packing
like little kid nursery stories. She's like, you don't touch those. You don't rip my page of my book.
Kids are acting up, and she's like, order 66. Yeah. So I wrote down, I was like, dude, that was a pretty dope lightsaber duel. Like, I was like, that was cool to see. It was like an intense, and So while that's happening, Cad Bane like sneaks into this vault and he grabs the holocron. And the Jedi are like quick on his trail, but they can't catch him. So he gets away. But he gets away in kind of one of the lamest ways possible because like you see the Jedi, they're like, "Oh, the intruder must be right under our nose." And you just see Cad Bane walking back in the background. It's just like he's right there, right,
Yeah, and
guys?
can we talk about Kato?
Oh, the robot.
Dude, like, come on. That's where I was like, this is a kid's show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he like pops out by all these Jedi, and he's like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm not. I was just checking the vents." Like, and then you just hear this beeping, and then freaking Mace Windu's like, "It's a bomb," and just kicks him in there. And then Obi-Wan and Anakin are like, "Oh my god, let's get out of here! It's a bomb!" And I'm like, "This poor." And Kato's like, "What?" It just blows up, and I'm like, "Oh my god, it's this poor little droid, man." I felt so bad for that droid.
Yeah,
Was blown up because Cad Bane was using him as like a bomb, I guess. But I don't know.
gotta be a bad guy. So Cad Bane's taking the holocron and he finds out that he's gotta get this other little crystal from Jedi Bola Rapal, who's on a completely different planet. And when you combine them together, you basically unlock the secrets of the holocron. So we get a cliffhanger, right, where the Jedi Council's talking and Ahsoka and Anakin are sent to track down Bola, and Obi-Wan is like, "Well, I'm going after Cad Bane." And that leads us into episode 2 and 3. And out of these 3 episodes, 2 and 3 are like, once they start, just start jamming, dude. I was like, these were so good. And I wrote down halfway through this episode, and then I put it in bold in the 3rd episode. Anakin is a maniac. Like, dude is a lunatic. And everybody that's around him endorses it and supports it. But if I was in Star Wars and I was hanging out with Anakin, I think I would 100% be like the ship commander and just be like, I gotta get off this ship. Like, I gotta get
like
off
that
this
one
ship.
admiral guy who's like, "What did I do to get stuck with Skywalker?"
Yeah, out of all the Jedi.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you're right. His antics and ideas that he has, and he's like, "We're doing it."
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, dude.
Like, they legit get to this moment in episode 2 where they're like, "We're boarding the ship," and they're like, "We don't have any boarding equipment." And I just wrote down, no one tells Anakin not to board a ship. And he's like, "We're gonna take these surfaces, we're gonna take these like walkers, and we're gonna land them on a ship, and we're gonna be wearing spacesuits with lightsabers, and we're gonna storm the top of the ship." And I was just like, no one's gonna tell him no. Like, no one. But Ahsoka's
no help.
Yeah, Ahsoka's like,
she's
"That's
like,
a
they do
great
have
idea."
magnetic feet. Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then Rex is like,
pressurized.
"Let's go."
Yeah.
Those
even Rex
3
was just like, all right.
Those 3 are just a terrible mixture. Like, that's just get them away from each other. But I don't know if you picked up, Rex referred to the vehicles as an AT-AT 3000. So
really,
that gives us the answer. It's not an AT-AT. It's an AT-AT.
Ooh. Maybe those ones are called AT-ATs.
And then once they get to like generation 6000, they're AT-ATs.
Yeah.
It's like the iPhone. They're like, it's no longer the iPhone 7. It's just the iPhone.
It's the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
iPhone. So like you said, real quick into the action. And I think the quick, like, typically when it's like previously on, Clone Wars or whatever, it was like a whole storyline. I feel like they had ran through like a little mini episode. They're like, Cad Bane's going in here to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Cad Bane stole this. Cad Bane now has this freaking Jedi, and he locked him up. And now Anakin showed up, and they're fighting them. And I'm like, whoa,
yeah,
you're telling a lot real quickly. Like, that could have been a whole episode right there. Like,
oh yeah.
One thing that bothered me, and this is such like a stupid nitpicky thing, but there was 2 Federation ships coming at them, and Cad Bane's was like in the far back. And so they go, target the one on the left. And so they literally cut to the 2 ships, and the one on the right's the one being targeted and being shot. I was like, what?
Even in space, stormtroopers have terrible aim.
It made me laugh so hard because I immediately looked at the left one and then the right one just started getting destroyed. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's left, right, and right. I don't understand. This is
Yeah.
backwards.
There's a moment that happens in this episode where I was like, in the first episode, I was like, yeah, this isn't a kid's show. And then the second episode, I was like, this is definitely not a kid's show. Where they have Jedi Bolo Rapal like suspended like Obi-Wan was in Attack of the Clones, and Cad Bane's trying to get information out of him, and he takes like pretty much like a cattle prod and starts electrocuting him to the point that he kills him, and you just see the heart line just flat, and I was just
Bro.
like, whew.
Like, it was so ruthless that even one of the freaking like little battle droids was like, I don't know how much more of this he can take. And Cad Bane's like, are you a medical droid? And then he's like, no. He's like, then step back and shut up. That's literally what he said.
Great scene. It was
and I was like,
funny.
Oh my God. Yeah, like you said, like I was like, whoa, man, this is, and I was like, Cad Bane is without ceiling, dude. He is ruthless.
100% ruthless. But there was even one where like the droid dropped a line, and I was like, I don't think that's meant to be a joke, but it made me laugh. Where instead of saying he's dead, they said he's deactivated or something like that.
Oh, is that what they said?
Yeah. He's like, he goes, I think he's deactivated, and I was like, oh, he thinks he's a robot. Like,
what if all the robots just think everybody's robots?
Oh, maybe. I mean,
I didn't even think of that.
That would actually be a fun like short film to make, in my opinion.
Right?
Is like if we did a short film about like a little robot after the Clone Wars where he didn't get deactivated.
Dang.
And he's like panhandling, but he's also like working at like a place lifting up boxes and just like depressing.
Like a Wally?
Yeah, like depressing indie film, but it's just a separatist droid is all it is.
Oh God, dude. Oh man.
Roger.
Yeah, Cad Bane's ruthless.
Yeah, so Cad kills Bolo Rapal and basically says like, I still need a Jedi. I'm going to get Anakin or Ahsoka to solve the mystery. And he already sees that they're on the ship. And this just goes into the lunacy of like Anakin again, because like they land these AT-ATs on the surface of the ship. They got magnetic feet, so they're walking across, they're shooting cannons, and then they land these walker droids. And instead of Anakin being like, oh, the tank's got this, him and Ahsoka just charge at them with the lightsaber and start chopping these walkers down. And I was just like, this dude is just like, I don't know, man. I'm blown away by Anakin.
The whole time we got your boys too. Cad Bane was talking to your Far East alien friends.
Oh, yeah. You're going to negotiate with the Jedi? You should surrender.
He goes like, we've got 2 Jedi that just landed that I can take over now. Yeah, I mean, they storm the castle, got all these clone troopers coming in, and we get another funny moment from one of the droids where he's like, don't shoot me, shoot him. He's a commander. Yeah. So then the clone trooper just shoots him, and then he goes, I guess I'm the commander now, and then they shoot him. I was like, oh my God, man, these freaking droids crack me up in this show, dude.
Yeah, it's interesting because like we didn't get that comedic humor during like the live action, so it's like to get that.
Could you imagine? Good. Could you imagine, dude? Like people like my dad who have such a problem with like Jar Jar. Could you imagine if droids were like that in the live action?
Yeah,
they would be like, this whole thing's a circus.
Yeah, they've ruined Star Wars.
We get a nice little fight with Cad Bane and Ahsoka after this.
Yeah, we do.
And Anakin goes charging after, and Ahsoka's like, I'll get him.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, Ahsoka, wait. We must do this together, which is like, I feel like something Obi-Wan would say, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like roles are reversed. And then
Master
you have
becomes the apprentice.
Yeah.
There was a scene too here where like, so they're chasing after Cad, and Cad turns the gravity off on the ship, and everybody's like floating, but Anakin is like still charging mid like no gravity trying to get him. And I was like, that is the most terrifying thing I've seen. It's just Anakin.
He was on a mission.
Yeah. So Cad Bane captures Ahsoka, and he's like torturing her and puts her in this chamber. And there's another comedic relief moment, right? is these droids are guarding the chamber, and Anakin walks around the corner. When the droid goes, "I thought you'd said we were going to be safe here."
Like they were just dipping, just trying not to fight.
Droids are people too, man.
Yeah, pretty much. In this show, they are.
Yeah,
but I mean, Cad Bane and Ahsoka, like, homie can straight up fight Jedis, dude. Like, he's dangerous, man. And
yep.
So when they has Ahsoka captured, one thing that I thought was cool, and I'm not sure if this was done purposefully because of Anakin, or if this is just a term that is used a lot. So when she's talking to Bane, she calls him Sleemo.
Yeah.
And that's something that Anakin called, I want to say it was Sebulba.
Oh, yeah.
Or somebody, like in episode 1, like the live action, The Phantom Menace. He calls somebody Sleemo.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, dang. And I'm like, is that because she picked that up from Anakin? Or is that just like
I'd like to think she picked it up from Anakin.
That's what I want it to be.
Yeah.
It's because I'm like, that'd be cool. That'd be such cool, like, I am my master before me. Sleemo.
I'm
gonna start using that. You imagine?
What did you call me?
Sleemo.
Guy's gonna go
like if I'm in traffic.
Work.
Yeah, some traffic. Yeah, oh, dude, imagine like I get in traffic, because I'll tell you, okay. Started a new job recently. Requires me to be on the road a little bit more, and oh my gosh, like I'm starting to understand people with road rage. I never felt like I was a person before that had road rage. Oh my gosh,
very easy.
But when I think I'm gonna do that. I think if I get in a road rage moment, I'm gonna call somebody Sleemo, and imagine that man or woman going home to their family and being like, Sleemo.
He's just sitting at the dinner table and just
Sleemo,
eating sad. She goes, Jimmy, is everything okay? I don't know.
I
got called a Sleemo today. A what? A Sleemo. What does that even mean? I think
I'm saying that right. Here, let me see. Let me see if this guy were to Google if he got called a Sleemo. Let me see what pops up here.
Yeah.
Let me be careful with this. Okay.
Okay.
Hopefully
it's not a real like derogatory word, because we've said it like 7 times already.
So it says Sleemo is a hut tease, like Jabba the Hutt. It's an insult. Oh, interesting enough, it says it's pronounced Slaymo.
Hey.
And literally translating as slime ball.
Slaymo, baby. Slaymo.
Slime ball. So it's like calling somebody a slime ball.
Interesting.
Sleemo. Yeah, that would work. Cut me off. Sleemo. They'll be like, what? Don't be offended or not.
The other cool part that I thought was like really neat about this episode, because like I feel like in Boba, Cad Bane, correct me if I'm wrong, and this might be a spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it. Cad Bane just gets murked at the end, right? Or does he get away?
No, he dies.
Okay, so
seemingly
that introduction is very like uneventful. Like there's no building near. You're like, who's this guy? And then boom, he gets murked, right?
You can kind of see how he's a badass, though.
Yeah,
like, he does have a couple moments in the show where he just seems like a real like rugged what is it called? 6-shooter slinger, like like cowboy-esque, which I think is super cool. But this show, like I understand why people were so excited when they saw Cad Bane in Book of Boba Fett, because he's so like crafty and sly in this show.
Yeah,
that it's like I already was excited when I saw him in that show, but again, it didn't have that kind of impact or meaning to me because I hadn't watched this. But as I'm watching this, like, I already love the character, but I'm like, damn, he's good. Like,
yeah,
which makes me excited to see like Thrawn. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? In this show, he's in this show, or is it just Rebels?
He's in Rebels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah, for Cad Bane, I was like, dude, his look, his voice, his demeanor, like he just adds to like the awesome lineup of villains that Star Wars has. But yeah, so he puts Ahsoka in this room, and he's basically like, if Anakin, you come near me, I'm gonna pop this chamber open, and it's gonna suck Ahsoka straight out to space, and she's gonna die. So Anakin gives in and unlocks the holocron, which I was like, "What are you doing, dude?" But like, does it so he can save her. Still attacks Cad Bane. Cad Bane unlocks it. Ahsoka almost flies out of the ship, and just a crazy moment, man. But like, I don't know. I get why Anakin did it, but then at the same time, I'm like, I don't know.
He's risking the lives of however many future Jedi for his Padawan.
Yep. And do you think
But
this is why the Jedi say you shouldn't be attached?
absolutely, because he was risking the lives of, again, who knows how many for one, essentially. And the Jedi are very much like, do what's right for the good of good, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And Anakin's very emotional. He gets, obvious deep emotional attachments to people, which is what I think the Jedi Council was afraid of with Anakin, because they could see that. So, yeah, I mean, but it also makes that story arc of their relationship between Ahsoka and Anakin that much more meaningful, I think.
Yeah.
Because Ahsoka sees that, Ahsoka feels that, and Ahsoka's grown up in the Jedi Temple. She knows how things are. She probably knows, like, oh, if it's me or all these people, he's going to choose all these people. And then when he chooses her, she's like, aw.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
He likes
now
me.
you understand her attachment to him, because any other Jedi that she was a Padawan to would probably be like, yeah, sorry, Ahsoka. I'm going to get a new Padawan on Monday.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like,
It is interesting. It is interesting to see that. So, but so
it's sweet.
Cad escapes off with the holocron, and Ahsoka and Anakin are chasing him. The ship's blowing up around him, and then Cad gets confronted by some some clone troopers, and Anakin and Ahsoka jump on the ship. They see another clone trooper, like they think punch Cad, and then that clone trooper jumps directly on the ship, and they fly away, and they think Cad Bane's dead, and then Anakin drops a line, which again just goes back to like me being like, man, these Jedi aren't very smart. He's like, Bane's dead, but I still can feel him, and meanwhile Bane is just in the background like, no, don't notice me, don't notice me.
I will tell you right now, like, immediately when he said that, I was like, he was an injured clone trooper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like 100%. There's no way in hell Cad Bane's not eliminating those clone troopers. Like,
Oh yeah,
he's not going to be like, oh, I didn't do a kill shot. All right, it's fine. You can go.
I wonder if you go back and like slow frame it, because like you do see Cad Bane's outfit go over the side, right? Like it looks like Cad Bane got knocked out by the clone trooper. But I'm curious that if like you slow it down, is it a clone just wearing Cad Bane or Bane's stuff, or like I don't know.
How would that work? Hey, let's swatch outfits real quick first before I kill you.
Before I kill you. Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
now,
so,
are they watching? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that leads us to episode 3. And it literally picks up right at that moment where like they're all deboarding the ship. They're on the Republic ship, and we see Cad Bane disguised as a clone exit the ship, and the Jedi and clones are like, hold up. There's blood on the floor.
We got some green blood over here.
It's green. And clones don't bleed green, man.
No, they do not.
And this is the moment where I wrote down, again, Anakin is a lunatic. Because Cad Bane jumps into his ship, and starts flying off. And instead of just using the Force to grab the ship, like we've seen Vader and other Jedi do multiple times,
I wanted it to happen.
Anakin jumps on the ship, starts riding it like a wild bull, reaching in, grabbing the controls, flips over to the other side, still holding on. And I'm just like, this dude has a death wish, is what it comes down to. Like, this kid has some mommy issues, and
that's true, because in the episode before, when Obi-Wan confronted Cad Bane, and Cad Bane left with, what was it?
Oh, that's this episode.
Is that this episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man. Cad Bane's a clever guy, man. He's
He
sly.
is. He
He's
is.
crafty.
Yeah, he is. To the point where it's just like, I don't know. It kind of makes seeing this all again and like watching Cat again. It kind of just makes Boba hurt a little bit because I'm like, man, I don't like the ending for that character. But
What if he's
anyway,
not dead,
so
though? Somehow Cad Bane returned.
yeah, Boba returned after being eaten by the Sarlacc pit.
That's what I'm
Maybe
saying.
there's a chance. So the
Maybe.
Jedi Council basically get together and they're like, okay, Cad Bane's got the crystal from Master Ropal and he's got the holocron. So when he combines it together, he knows where all the Force children are. And so they basically get together and use the Force to figure out which kids are going to be kidnapped. And Yoda's like, I sense this. And Mace Windu's like, I sense that. And Obi-Wan's like, I sense that. And then my man, Anakin, is like, I sense a Gungan on Naboo. And I'm like, no one's going to be like, homie, you just trying to get to Naboo to see Padme? Like, you just trying to get some booty? Is that what's going on here? Because like, I just wanted Yoda to be like, I don't see a Gungan. I don't see that at all.
That's not even remotely close.
No, it's definitely Naboo, and I need to go like now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Padme's neighbor. Yeah. I gotta go. I'm sorry. Well, Yoda made a comment and said, "You're seeing the future."
Yeah.
So it is almost like, Anakin had some more powerful Force powers.
Yeah, there's multiple lines that they drop in this show where they're like, is he the chosen one? And I'm just kind of like, they all knew at some point that like Anakin definitely was the chosen one. But at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. This show's so complicated, but it's also so simple. Like, it's just like, it's a story about space wizards and space combat, but it's got so much depth to it that just is so cool to think about.
And then once again, you question, is this show for kids or not? Because we got Cad Bane out here stealing babies.
Dude, this was the episode that I was like, this would be a dope live action. I was like, this one episode I would
The
watch.
baby stealing episode?
Mm-hmm.
Of course you would, you youngling slayer 69.
No, it was just such a dark, like, interesting story. Like, I don't know what it was. I was like, Obi-Wan senses that, like, Cad Bane's going to steal a Jedi youngling on Rodea. And so he basically goes like, I'm going, right? Like, I'm going to go to Rodea. And Cad Bane's disguised as a Jedi saying, I need to take your kid to the temple, and takes off. And Obi-Wan shows up and she's like, if you're here for my son, he's already left. And like Cad Bane's like, like literally what we got. You weren't fast enough this time, Obi-Wan.
That's like, the most accurate portrayal I've ever heard. Like, and like he's exactly like a Bond villain where he's like telling like what he's doing. He's like, there's people out here impersonating Jedi. You don't want them taking your baby. As he's there impersonating a Jedi to take her baby.
Yeah. It's literally just like, oh yeah, you're just wearing it on your sleeves, man. So Cad Bane kidnaps this kid on Rodea. We find out he kidnaps another one, which is like a baby Kit Fisto. And then we find out he's going to Naboo. So Anakin goes to Naboo. And again, they land. And he's like, you guys got everything ready? And like, here's the Gungan you need to work with. He's like, cool, Ahsoka, you go. I'm going to deal with stuff before then. I'm like, this dude's going to go see Padme. He's going to see Padme.
I got some stuff to deal with. Real important. Real important Jedi business.
I've got really bad jet lag. I need a moment. So Cad Bane comes to this Gungan city and goes after this baby Gungan, which, my God. This is the most cutest kid I've seen in the Star Wars universe. Like,
it was pretty cute. I don't know, the Rodian, the Greedo looking one was pretty cute too. I just keep it's replaying over and over my head.
Yeah.
That's funny too about that scene is when he takes off and like gets in the plane and flies away. Obi-Wan just goes, it's like darn.
Yeah, he's just so like he's again. Like, oh, you'll get away this time.
Which to think too, like when you see them in this show get in a spaceship and fly away, like in your head you're like, ah, man, that sucks. But like thinking about that in real life, if you were to see somebody get in a spaceship and fly away, you'd be like, I'm never seeing them again. Like,
Yeah.
where do they go?
Yep.
They could go anywhere in this galaxy. I'm never finding them again.
Yeah. Well, and there was a moment, right, where he's like using his jetpack boots, and then Obi-Wan just
Yeah.
throws out a cable, and I'm like, that's all you got? Really? Like,
That's not as cool, dude.
that's not as cool. He's like Batman climbing the
Yeah.
wall, and I'm just like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
So they set up a trap on Naboo. There's this fake baby. Cad Bane walks in. He's like, "Oh no, the baby's not here." And then Ahsoka comes out for revenge, right?
Yeah.
And they capture. Well, no, they don't capture him. Cad Bane once again beats Ahsoka, jumps out the
Outsmarts
window
her.
with his rocket boots, and then again, Anakin with zero care jumps on to Cad Bane 100 feet into the air and just plummets to the ground. Dude's a lunatic. Like,
Yeah,
100%
you're right.
a lunatic. Man.
I'm starting to see that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So then they capture Cad Bane. The Jedi have him in their custody.
And this is where it gets dark again, man.
You talking about the Jedi mind gangbang?
Yeah.
Dude,
That's a way to put it. Holy
it
cow.
was a mind gangbang. Like,
yeah, okay.
this is where the dark side of Anakin came out. I was like, ooh, my dude.
Well, yeah, because what was great about it was they were like, we need to, Jedi mind tricks aren't going to work on this guy. And then they're like, what if we all do it at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
And then they do. And they're like, you will tell us where to go. You will tell us where to find the holocron and the missing babies. And then Cad Bane's like starting to give in. And he's like, oh, God, stop. I can't take it. And so then they're like, what do we do? And Anakin's like, we could try it again. We could do it again.
We could torture him. No, let's try it again.
Some more. Yeah. My gosh, man. It was nutty.
It was dark. But then we get something even darker that I was like, who gave this guy a babysitting license? Because we see this baby Kit Fisto, and there's like the Force or like this projection of Palpatine, who might be the worst babysitter on the face of the planet. But like he's like, hello, little baby.
Anakin's worse.
That is true. if it was his job to watch the younglings that night at the Jedi Temple,
yeah,
he did a terrible job.
It was kind of weird seeing like a Force hologram or a hologram, I guess.
Yeah,
walking around to each kid.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get them. That's right. So Cad Bane led Obi-Wan and Mace Windu.
Yep.
And they were like, hey, we're going to take him. We're going to go find, wherever he's going to lead us. And Anakin's like, you sure about this? And they're like, yeah, it's fine. We got him. Like, and I'm like, okay, clearly he's going to lead him to a trap. Like, what are the chances he's going to show them? Or is he just going to lead him into a trap? What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. Cad Bane, bad guy. Trap.
Then we get a scene with Anakin talking to the Chancellor and being like, the Chancellor asks Anakin, oh, do you have any leads on who this higher power might be that is, controlling everything? And they're like, no, not yet. But I feel like he's out there right under my nose. And he's like, oh, good. Oh, good.
You're all idiots.
It's like what you said. Like, it's just like, wow, man.
Yeah, it's this show definitely makes the scene where like they all find out that Palpatine's the Sith Lord. I was just like, you guys didn't see it,
it
at
seems
all.
so obvious.
But whatever. So yeah, while Obi-Wan, Mace, and Cad Bane go to get the holocron and the crystal, Anakin and Ahsoka are still trying to find the babies, and they basically are like, oh wait, what if we reverse engine search his ship logs and we figure out where he went? And they're like, oh, Mustafar's on here, that's out of the way. And then they're like, he did have ash on his outfit, and they're like, let's go look there. And sure enough, that's where the Force babies were.
So one thing that I thought was really interesting was obviously Mustafar plays a big role in Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden we're seeing it in this. And as soon as they get there, Palpatine is like, turn off all the force fields. Bring the whole buildings to the lava and melt it all down. And I'm like, And they kind of start doing that. And I'm like, is this building not still there? Like in that show? Like this is in between, right? They just repair it. Did they not clearly already know that was a bad place to go and just decided never to check there again later on? Like,
yeah,
that was one of those things where it was like, are you messing with the movies?
Yeah. Like, how come they never went to Mustafar again?
Yeah.
To search. Also, do you think when Anakin went there for the first time, like, let's just assume this episode was the first time, he's like, it's not bad. I kind of want to build a fortress here. And
I'll put my speeder over there. My lightsaber, I'll hang on the wall over there.
You see that little lava front property right there? Definitely. That's what I want.
Man, I'd take a dip in that. I'll tell you what, I might lose my legs, but I'll take a dip in that.
Yeah. So that basically recaps the first 3 episodes of this season. But like, I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed these 3 episodes, and maybe again it has to do with the fact that like we have taken such a pause from the first season, but I was just like, dude, this first story arc, I was like, I'm in. Like, I was like, I like it. I like the story arcs we got.
I felt like the first season I was being very critical of a lot of things, and I didn't feel that criticism as much this time around watching these 3. Yeah, there was a couple things where I'm like, oh, is that messing with the stories? But it was more like I was just enjoying it. You know what I mean? And
what do you think? Why do you think that is? That you're like, the criticism is gone?
Because of the new stuff, I think.
Okay.
Because of Ahsoka, because of seeing Cad Bane in the Book of Boba Fett. I like these characters now based on the live action version, and it's making me, like I said, it's almost like I'm going in reverse now. It's like I'm finally understanding the appreciation for these characters that people had watching these newer shows who had already seen Clone Wars. And here I am being like, oh my gosh, these people are awesome. And then going back and being like, oh my God. It's like saying, oh, I loved Obi-Wan in 4, 5, and 6. And then being like, oh my gosh, Obi-Wan as like a Padawan. This is great. Like, it's almost like that for me, where I'm like going back in time, and I'm used to that. You know, being a Star Wars fan, you got to be used to jumping timelines. So seeing what the future holds and then jumping back in time, I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'm excited about continuing this. And these 3 episodes were great. I actually really enjoyed all of them.
That's awesome.
Now, we always did a ranking system before. What's your ranking for these 3 episodes?
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
Baby kidnapping.
Okay.
The cargo of doom, and then the heist.
Cargo of doom.
That's where
I think I like one the most.
Okay.
Just because I like heist aspects.
Okay.
And I really like Kato.
Oh yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go 1, 3, 2.
1, 3, 2. Okay.
1,
I get
3,
that.
2
Yeah.
Mine.
Yeah. So
I thought 3 was good.
The next batch we're jumping straight into after this is episode 4 and 5. Episode 4 is called The Senate Spy, where Padme takes on a dangerous covert mission to spy on a senator she once had a relationship with.
No.
Scandalous.
What?
And then episode 5 is called Landing at Point Rain, where Obi-Wan and Anakin form a plan of attack on a Geonosian droid factory, but little do they know, the Separatists are expecting them. We're going back to Geonosis, baby.
Dang. I'm excited.
Yeah.
How many episodes are in season 2?
22.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah. No,
we're just scratching the surface.
22. Yeah, we're literally just getting started. So we got plenty of episodes ahead of us. I'm looking forward to it. And, we got... How many more? There's 7 seasons of Clone Cast, so we got plenty ahead of us.
Yeah,
but,
yes, we do.
Until next time, thanks you guys so much for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed the first 3 episodes as well. We'll see you guys again next week for another episode of Clone Cast.
Roger.